Hi guys, this is O-level chemistry, paper 11, June 2019, question 1. An experiment is done to measure the rate of reaction between calcium carbonate and dilute hydrochloric acid. The gas formed is collected in a gas syringe. Which additional piece of apparatus are essential to measure how the rate of the reaction changes with temperature and the amount of acid used? So apparatus to measure temperature. That's pretty easy. It's a thermometer. So options C and D remain, while options A and B have been eliminated. Now, apparatus to measure the amount of acid used. So amount of acid used, we have a choice between a condenser and a measuring cylinder. So a condenser is used to condense, and that has nothing to do with the rate of reaction, whereas a measuring cylinder is used to measure volume. So condenser makes option C incorrect and measuring cylinder makes option D correct. Therefore, option D is the correct option for this question. Question 2. After acidification with dilute nitric acid, a colorless solution of X reacts with aqueous silver nitrate to give a white precipitate. Okay. So a white precipitate means silver chloride has been formed. Therefore, X contains chloride ions. What could X be? Calcium iodide? No. Copper chloride? Okay, chloride is correct, but it also says a colorless solution. If copper is present, the color of this solution would be blue. So the color makes this option incorrect. Lead iodide? No. Sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is a colorless solution which will give a white precipitate with silver nitrate. So option D is the correct option for this question. Question 3. A paper chromatography experiment is carried out to separate the identity and identify the mixture of amino acids produced from the hydrolysis of proteins. Which apparatus is needed? Okay, so we've got a common option in all four chromatography paper. Obviously, we would be requiring that. Locating agent, because we are locating amino acids need to be colored. So yes, locating agent would be required. Marker pen and solvent. Marker pen has no use in chromatography because we use a pencil. Marker pen has its own ink which would be split into its own components. Solvent would be required, yes, to perform chromatography. Pencil is required. Ruler is required to measure the distance traveled, and solvent. Ruler, solvent, thermometer is not required in chromatography. Pencil is required, solvent is required, and again thermometer is not required. So the option with all correct requirements is option B. Question 4. Which conditions will give the highest rate of diffusion of a gas? Molecular mass of the gas has to be small and the temperature has to be high. Because the smaller the mass, the quicker the molecule will travel, and the greater the temperature, the more energy will be possessed by the molecule of the gas, and the quicker it will travel. So small is there in option C and D, and high is there in option C, making option C the correct option for this question. Question 5. Cobalt is a transition element. A particle of cobalt contains 24 electrons and has a nucleon number of 60. Okay, so looking at the periodic table, we also obtain its proton number, which is 27. So this particular particle has 27 protons, 60 minus 27, 33 neutrons, and it says it has 24 electrons. Now the difference between 27 as the proton number and 24 as the number of electrons is 3. Therefore, this particular ion has a charge of positive 3. So which statement about particle is correct? It is a positive 3 ion, yes. It is a negative 3 ion, no. Not only because we've already calculated it, also because it is a metal. Metals do not form negative ions. It contains 24 neutrons, no, 33. It contains 24 protons, no, 27. So option A is the correct option for this question. Question 6. Diamond and graphite are two different forms of the element carbon. They each have different uses. Which row is correct? Is used to cut glass, that would be diamond. So option C and D have been eliminated. As an electrode, that would be graphite. So option A has been eliminated. And as a lubricant, that would also be graphite. So option B is the correct option for this question. Question 7. Which diagram shows the outer electron arrangement in calcium fluoride? So calcium fluoride is an ionic compound. Options A and B, just by looking at them, have been eliminated because they are showing electrons being shared, which is a property of covalent compounds, and calcium fluoride is not covalent. Now we are left with C and D. Calcium forms positive ions. Option C has calcium forming positive ions. Option D has calcium forming negative ions. So option D becomes incorrect. And let us check. When calcium loses its two electrons, one electron is gained by each of the fluoride ion, which can be seen in the diagram. So option C is the correct option for this question. Question 8. What is the number of shared pairs of electrons in an ammonia molecule? Ammonia is NH3. Nitrogen belongs to group 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 electrons from nitrogen and 3 covalent bonds forming. So 3 electrons from hydrogen. And the question has asked us what is the number of shared pair of electrons. So the number of shared pair of electrons is 1, 2, and 3 pairs. So the correct option for this question is option A. Question 9. Two statements about metals are given. Metals contain a lattice of negative ions in a sea of electrons? No. They contain a lattice of positive ions in a sea of electrons. The electrical conductivity of metals is related to the mobility of the electrons in the structure. Yes, metals have delocalized mobile electrons which can flow. So it can conduct current. So which is correct? Both statements are correct? No. Both statements are correct again? No. Statement 1 is correct? No. Statement 2 is correct and statement 1 is incorrect. This is the right choice. So option D is the correct option for this question. Question 10. Powdered calcium carbonate reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce calcium chloride, water, and carbon dioxide. What is the correct ionic equation, including state symbols for this reaction? A. Calcium carbonate solid plus 2HCl aqueous gives CaCl2 aqueous plus H2O liquid plus CO2 gas. Okay, this equation as an equation to represent the reaction taking place is 100% correct. But they have asked us in the question to give the ionic equation. This is the complete equation for the reaction. It is not an ionic equation. That is why this will not be our option. Next, Ca2 positive plus CO3 2 minus plus 2H positive gives Ca2 positive plus H2O plus CO2. This is not the ionic equation because we have calcium carbonate and hydrogen as the reactants and calcium ions, water and carbon dioxide is the product. It seems correct, but the problem is in the reactants, the calcium ions are written as in the aqueous state. But we should remember that calcium carbonate is not soluble. So it cannot be calcium ions in the aqueous state. It has to be calcium chloride solid. So this state makes option B incorrect. Next, Carbonate ions and H positive ions react to form H2O and CO2. No. Calcium chloride has to form, so calcium ions must be involved. This is a reaction that is taking place without calcium. And again, carbonate is written as aqueous, so it cannot be aqueous. And the last one, calcium carbonate solid, yes, reacts with H positive from the acid, yes, producing calcium ions in the aqueous state, yes, water and CO2. This is the ionic equation for this reaction. And if we want to see the complete equation, that is the equation given in option A. But the ionic equation is given in option D, making option D the correct option for this question.